Greetings Boffins, welcome to the Boffin Lab. I'm Mardod Taran and we're playing Ark Survival Evolved. This video will show you how to build things in the game. I've done some preparation in advance, so I already have the materials I need to start building. I've also deliberately chosen a location with uneven ground. This is so I can show you some of the principles of building. There are three ways to start a building. You can use a foundation, a fence post, or a pillar. Each has a different reason for using it. The pillar you can attach a ceiling to and then build from there, though most of your building will be supported on other pillars. The fence post you can attach a wall to and then build from there, but the fence post doesn't provide a lot of support, so you'll be reliant on pillars for other floor pieces and ceilings. The foundation is your best starting option, as it provides a solid base for your building. One thing to note though, the orientation of your first building piece determines the orientation for the entire building. There are no rounded corners, there are no horizontal pieces. Everything is a square, so choose your first spot carefully. To place your item, put it in your belt slot and push the number, and you get the green shadow. If you are not permitted to place an item, it will be red and there will be a sign saying that it is obstructed. If you are allowed to place the item, it'll be green and ready to go. Right click will cancel, left click will place, and there's your first item. This is a thatch base. It doesn't have a lot of durability. A trike could easily destroy this, and a person with stone tools could destroy it. Now, the next base will snap automatically to its side. Notice that you've only got 4 options, but it'll automatically click to the edge of the base. Now, there is a problem. The next spot is too low. It's not going to snap directly to it. I deliberately chose this so I could show you. There's a way of dealing with this situation though. What you need is a ceiling. You can snap the ceiling to the edge of the foundation. You can then build out using pillars to support your ceilings. It doesn't look particularly neat, I have to admit. There is a way of dealing with it, but I'll show you how this works. The next ceiling can't snap to that because there's no support, but you do have an option. If you use a pillar, you can support the next ceiling, but it's going to insist you put a pillar here so that you know where the next one goes. The pillar is snapping to the middle of the ceiling. Now, if I place a second pillar, it will snap to a position exactly 1 foundation away from the first one. Now I can add the next ceiling and build out. So, I've got a floor. It's not very neat, but it still works. To place walls, select a wall and snap it to the side of your foundation or your ceiling. There is a way of choosing which way it faces. One way is to be on the inside, and the inside of the structure should face you. The other way is when you place the item, it usually chooses the correct facing, but if you need to, you push the E key and that will swap the orientation, but it only swaps it back to front. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't change its snap point. Thus we have the side of a building already. Obviously you need to get in and out of your building, so you need a door. In order to place a door, you have to start with the door frame. Place that first, and then add the door itself. Thatch doors are hard to see, and they have options. They automatically start as being locked. Holding the E key down will give you a bunch of options. You can unlock it so anybody can open it, but that's not a great move. A PIN code will let other people open it if they have the PIN code. However, I have heard there is such a thing as PIN code hacks, so be careful. But the devs have put in some security measures lately, and maybe those are a thing of the past. We're going to put a few more walls on. In order to fit a large storage chest, you need to be 2 walls high. But you can personally fit in 1 wall high. The next thing is your ceiling. Be careful, your ceilings tend to snap to funny locations sometimes. Notice that it's partially off the roof. You can then snap it there, and you have a ceiling. You can also get a hatch frame so you can make multiple levels. You can use ladders or ramps to get up and down levels. There is even an elevator later on in the tech tree. I'll show you something. This might be my building, but I can still damage it. I just hit that thing with a metal pick, and I've already done 100 points of damage to it. It wouldn't take me a great deal of time to knock it down. Looking at it, I get the option to repair it. However, if an enemy has done this damage, or a dino has done this damage, it'll take 3 minutes before I can repair it. It also tells me what I need to repair it, and in the fact that everything's green, it tells me I have the materials. Holding it down will give me the option to repair or demolish. I'll repair it. Takes the material from my inventory, and its hit points slowly goes up. Your thatch components should all be available to you by level 5, but the basic ones are level 2. However, wood is not all that far away. You'll start getting it at level 5 and finish collecting it all by level 20. Even then, you'll have the best bits by level 15. Stone, however, is probably the first really secure building material. You should be getting that around 15 to 20 and finishing it off about 30. It's worth working towards that first. Don't waste your time building this stuff. However, there is an option. You've got 2 ways of reclaiming this material. I don't like my veranda, so I'm going to get rid of it. I walk up to this ceiling, hold down the E key, and I have the option to demolish. There's a counter to make sure you don't accidentally demolish something. When it counts to 0 and you let go of the E key, it destroys the item, and you reclaim 40% of the materials used to make it. That way you get some of your stuff back. Just did the same thing to the pillar. I'm going to get rid of this piece as well. There's another thing I can do. I've already made some wooden foundations and some wooden walls. I'll show you how this works. If I activate the wooden foundation, I can place it in the location that another foundation already exists. You can see that it's green there and occupying the same location as the thatch foundation. What this means is I'm about to replace the foundation. This is the same thing as demolishing it and then placing a new one, except it doesn't destroy everything that's attached to it. So, I get the 40% material return, and the foundation is in place. I can do the same over here. And I've upgraded that one. Here's the walls. And it's done. So, I've got back some of what I used to make the building. And that makes it easier to use the materials elsewhere. It also means that even if you build your a first building out of thatch, you can then go straight on to building it out of wood and then onto stone. However, if you want to be totally efficient about it, harvest for stone first. You can look up what you need on the Gamepedia. It's got a full list of materials. There are even a few material calculators out there, but I suspect you'll probably be scribbling down numbers on a piece of paper for a while. I'll show you what happens when you hit wood. You need a metal tool to damage wood. And it's not particularly efficient. But I've hit that about 4 or 5 times and it's lost 100 points. Fortunately, it's got 10,000 to start with. And there it is, it's telling me I've got a countdown to repair it. I'm not going to be able to set that going again for a bit over 2 minutes. It's usually more efficient to repair something than it is to replace it, but sometimes you don't get the option. I'm going to demonstrate how fence foundations work. I'm going to place my first one right here on the ground. Unfortunately, you often find some of it is stuck in the ground and the other bit is poking out. There's no way to smooth this out. When you're trying to snap a new fence foundation to the end of the first one, it's based on where you're looking. There's no way of changing the orientation otherwise, so you'll probably find it a little fiddly. There's presets: straight, 90 degrees, and the 45-degree angle. You can also simply place it near, but yeah, that's not as neat. So, I've placed 2 pieces there. Now, you can fit either a doorway or a wall to a fence foundation. There we go. Now, you'll be able to build up almost indefinitely with that fence foundation. However, you're only going to be able to build out from it 1 or 2 ceilings worth. Already it says I'm not far close enough to a fence foundation. I suspect I will have to use pillars in order to support a roof. That's one of the reasons why fence foundations are only really useful for fences. Even then, it's probably preferable to use proper foundations. I have manufactured some stone gear, and I'm going to demonstrate them. The stone foundation is an early technology. You'll be able to get it fairly quickly. I'm going to replace the wood here. A stone foundation has 15,000 hit points, and hitting it with a metal tool is slow work. 1.5 hit points per swing. That makes it difficult to destroy with anything except explosives in a Gigantosaurus. Probably your safest option early in the game. I highly recommend you collect resources and build your first building out of stone. Here's a stone wall. The stone wall has 2 sides to it. If you want it to be neat, you're going to have to be careful which side is which. 10,000 hit points, and it's just like the floor. Metal tools. only do a little bit of damage to it. The next problem to worry about is a hatchway. Hatchways provide a secure way of going up and down levels because it's difficult to get through a hatch door without being permitted. If the hatch door is not unlocked or with a pin code, people cannot get through and they cannot swing a tool at it unless it's close enough. It's one way to stop people getting too high. The one problem with doors like this is that you tend to have problems opening and closing them. The other problem is they open in different directions on a random basis. You're going to need a ladder. If you notice, ladders can attach to a number of locations, and even apparently 2 locations on the same snap point. Don't be deceived. What you're seeing is 2 different orientations to the ladder. The closer one lets you climb from this side. The other one lets you climb from the other side. It's difficult to tell to begin with. Fortunately, ladders are cheap. You can just replace the ones that don't work. They'll attach to the tops of ceilings, the sides of walls, and you can even attach them in this odd fashion. You'd be able to jump up there and grab that ladder and then climb to the roof. When attaching them to a hatch frame, you've got to be careful. Don't get them stuck on the same frame as the hatch itself. It's usually better to place the hatch than the ladder, because you don't have any control where the hinge of the hatch is. To use a ladder, move until you can see the climb up option. Hit E to climb, push forward to go up, and backwards to go down. From the top, you've got to maneuver so you can see the climb down option, and then push E again. Pressing spacebar while on the ladder will drop you. This is not always a good move. One thing to consider when you're building: windows provide an ability for you to see out without people getting in. I'll quickly build one. That's the window frame, and there's the window. You're not likely to be able to choose the orientation, but here's why I'm suggesting it. If I open my front door and look outside to see if anybody's waiting for me, and they kill me or knock me out, the door's open and they can get in and take my stuff. But if I look out a window, they're not going to have a lot of luck. They still can't get in, unless they've got one of the little monkeys on the island. If you're in a wooden or thatched building and your window's open, they can throw the monkey through and tell it to open the door. But stone and metal is safe. I highly recommend a window covering a couple of exits, just in case, because one of the common tricks is for somebody to hide just outside your door and wait for you to step out, and then your place is open for them to loot. That's the basics of building. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Have fun, keep surviving.